What's happening, everybody? Today, we are going to be discussing the overall crypto landscape, some figures and data points that we need to be paying attention to as we are embarking on a very interesting and volatile journey in the crypto markets. There's a lot of news dropping regarding the Evergrande situation, maybe their debt default payments that they are missing is going to cause maybe a bigger cascade in the global equity markets and quite possibly impacting crypto. We're going to discuss the China supply chain issues that might also be impacting markets. And then, of course, the CPI data that came out, which is quite possibly, inflating the inflation fears that we may have to contend with. So all these things are going to be relevant for today's discussion because what we have right now is a very unique position in BTC where we have the previous high right here in April, which got breached the first time, like I mentioned in yesterday's video. This was your first rejection, right? Now we put in a higher high and we're doing our best to stay above this high, which is right here, okay? As long as we stay above that high, I still think we can keep climbing and making our way higher. I know the Evergrande situation seems like it's bad, but honestly, it is really not that bad as people are making out to be. There's a very good thread from, I think, Delvi Wan that you can follow. She is an expert on what's happening in the Chinese markets, and she mentions all the things related to the Evergrande situation, what exactly is relevant, what's not. And what I've taken away from her is that this Evergrande situation, as big as it may be and as that scary as it may sound, it's really not that huge of a deal in China, let alone the overall global equity markets. It will strike fear a little bit. It will cause some repositioning and rebalancing in some portfolios, but nothing to the degree where we feel like there's another crisis coming like 2008 or anything. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that because I know Evergrande is still a lingering topic in the circles of the stock market, the crypto market. I just don't think that it's going to be that big of a situation. Now, I will say, however, that Evergrande situation paired with China supply chain issues, paired with Wall Street now dealing with the high CPI data, now all those things together are going to cause a little bit of a ruckus in markets, and ruckus in markets that are already extended, right? If we look at, say, NASDAQ right here, right, already quite extended to the upside. It's basically had some huge movements up. So you're going to get maybe 5, 10, 15% pullbacks here and there. Okay, they're quite common. But in the heavy growth and tech side, like say AMD, where we've had pretty strong extensions since late September, early October, well, then these assets need to calm down, right? Even I think Facebook or Meta, right, it's been kind of grinding down slowly over the last few weeks. Same thing with Amazon, if you look at it. Same thing, you could see kind of just a sideways, looks like somewhat of a distribution or maybe a reaccumulation, right? But nonetheless, it's not going anywhere. They're not breaking out aggressively. Salesforce, another heavy growth stock, right, had a pretty sharp decline yesterday, down about 3.2%. Okay, so the point is that as we see this decline in AMD and CRM and Facebook and even Tesla, I think had a pretty brutal day yesterday, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I guess Tesla had a rebound day, but the day before was a brutal day. Okay, so even Tesla had a rough few days, right? So point is the markets overall were already extended, and so maybe they were due for a pullback. Maybe this pullback is it. Same thing with BTC. Maybe this pullback that you're seeing right now, that you're getting right here, might be it. Because what I'm recognizing on a hourly or 4-hour basis is that the key levels, which I was looking forward to, November 7th weekly open, that just got retested right here. That's a very, very good sign. Now, all we need to do is stay above the $65,000 marker. If we can do that, I don't see any reason why we cannot head back towards these highs and quite possibly higher highs. Okay. So this is how I'm looking at the market currently. Now, I will say that as of right now, I'm still not necessarily interested in levered positions, simply due to the fact that I believe that we had yesterday a relatively decent liquidation day, which is about 600 or $700 million. Funding has come down a little bit, right? But not to the degree where we feel like we've spent enough time at the lows and then funding is flipping negative. That would be ideal situation for the market to quite possibly liquidate some shorts on the way up. Because when funding turns negative, then you know that there's heavy shorting happening at the lows, right? And that's where you want the market to do something like this, and then start to head back up, okay? When funding turns negative. As of right now, we don't see that. Funding is still kind of high certain places, kind of become flat in other places, okay? So this is not as bad as it was yesterday, but still not the ideal situation for the market to push up on some heavily shorted areas. The other thing that I want to mention is we had extremely high open interest for the last 7 to 8 months, basically from April onward, where this was the high, or is it April? This was a high right here, right? Around $44 billion or so. We had extremely high open interest around $54 to $55 billion just about 2 days ago. Now that has obviously started to come down over the last 24 to 48 hours, as you could see, right? 54 billion to today, we are now at 49 billion. So about 5 billion wiped off in open interest. That's about 10%, right? That's not bad. It's actually, in my opinion, a good sign that you see something like that happen. The question now is, was the market pulling back for just a quick reset, okay, in terms of open interest right here and price, only to surge back up higher? I think this will probably depend on a few things. Number one, can we sustain above the $65,000 level? I personally think we can. I think the momentum is on our side. I think we've retested a key weekly open right here. But again, it's not necessary that, you know, we have to from here break up. We may have just another leg down and then quite possibly do something like this. Okay. We are at the tail end of the week. As we head into the weekend time, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, you get lower volume, lower liquidity. Not the best situation to allow price to start heading back up, in my opinion. So just something to be concerned about, in my opinion. Ethereum, let's check out ETH, right? So ETH has been very clear in terms of its movements. I've spoken about this a few times, right? Something like this. Okay, so we can do, you know, this. All right, and then you can do this as well. So you could see these are pretty good retests that you're getting on ETH, right? Here's a first move up, retest, second move up, retest, third move up, retest, fourth move up, retest, fifth move up, retest. Okay, it is on a very nice march, and even right here, you can kind of say, here's another retest, right? This is one of the cleanest sort of looking patterns, you know, like this, just continuously heading on up. So if you're thinking about going long on ETH, well, then this is your best opportunity right here to buy and have a stop just under this wick low. Okay, if price is going to keep sustaining up, it's definitely going to hold this wick low. All right. So daily basis, ETH looks phenomenal in my opinion. Like I said, the only cause for concern is maybe this, you know, high and elevated open interest, somewhat of high funding rate, which is calming down, and then this Evergrande situation that might be baking into the market and Wall Street, dealing with this inflation fear and markets that are already extended, right? But all in all, it is entirely possible that yesterday's and today's pullback is maybe all you get, right? And maybe we just start heading back up quickly, especially in the crypto markets. Some of the assets that I'm definitely paying attention to, ETH, right? Because it's such a clean setup. When you look at it on a 4-hourly basis, it's just stair stepping up on the way. Other assets I'm definitely paying attention to in the DeFi blue chip space is things like Rune, okay? Rune, in my opinion, got a very nice daily cleanup right here. right there. Okay, very nice retest at this previous area, push up, retest right here. Okay, so if we could hold and sustain above this area, I don't see any reason why Rune cannot at least make it back towards these highs. That's the first little lower high area, which is around $14, $15. And then newer highs above 17.25 or so. Okay. FTM, definitely want to keep your eye on FTM because this was also a very nice clean daily retest around 232. I don't see any reason why we need to head down further if we're supposed to push out from here, right? In fact, one could look at this as, you kind of go long here, stop below this current daily low, and start aiming your first target profit around this high, which is around $3.15. Okay, not financial advice, just letting you know how I'm looking at the setups. Same thing with Solana. If we look at Solana on a hourly basis, I think the only cause for concern is this area right here, which has kind of been very tough for price to kind of break through and hold above. If you're looking for confirmation, then you want confirmation like this, okay? On a strong volume break above this high, right? If you see this hold, okay, this is your entry, this is your stop, and your first target profit is 260. Your next target profit is probably like 275, and then quite probably, $300 up here. Okay, that's how I would look at the setup on the way up. But I think Solana for now is definitely in an uncertain area, just because we pretty much had this big liquidation event right here, took out a key higher low rather, and now this kind of puts this whole range in peril, meaning, do we think that this might be the beginning of a larger distribution, and are we headed down further? We don't quite know yet, right? It's almost better to at least be on their side of trades where you may recognize that the momentum is still up, rather than hoping that the momentum is lost and then aiming for that trade down, right? It's better to be long and wrong rather than trying to aim for the top and hope that this is the beginning of a downtrend. Okay. Again, not trying to be uber bullish or anything, right? But that's how I'm thinking of it. And like I said, you could go for the confirmation above this level, which is around 246, 247. All right. If price breaks and holds above here, then you have your long potential. Other assets that are coming up, I thought Link looked pretty darn good, right? Came back, retested a key area around 36.5, 37 right there. Very nice doji being printed, a hammer being printed right there, right? I also see this as a potential retest area around here. All right, so you could possibly go long here, stop below here, first target profit, second target profit, and then of course, higher highs up here. Okay. I've really not been paying attention to Wi-Fi. Honestly, I feel like it's kind of lost its pull on the market, and so many different assets that came up that did things better than Wi-Fi have come about. So really not been paying attention there. CRV, another one, very, very nice retest on a key daily level that dates back to the beginning of the year around February, right? Resistance, deviation, sells off, again, breaks through, holds just yesterday, okay? So if we can hold up above this area, and by the way, CRV and ETH and Solana and Bitcoin, I mean, they're all in a very peculiar area, which is they're all holding, these key levels, right? CRV is holding this 366 level. Bitcoin is trying to do its best to hold above the 65 level, or the wick low, which is around 63,000, right? If you start breaking back inside, and I will say this, right, if you start breaking back inside 65 and you start rolling over like this, then I'm pretty confident we're going to head back towards these lows and probably even take these out and head towards this low, which is around 54,000. Okay. So this is why the whole market is being bid at a very unique area, a very critical area, rather, that we definitely need to hold. Not only for the sake of BTC, but for the sake of CRV, for the sake of Solana, ETH, Link, Luna, I mean, everything really, right? So it's interesting the way the markets work, because as you started to see this Evergrande situation paired with the CPI data, paired with the fact that markets overall were extended in the Tesla front, AMD front, right? You saw just, market-wide sell-off in crypto, a risk-off event in the stock market, right? And this is how things work together. And this is why we need to pay attention to the macro picture at all times. And I've talked about the macro picture, numerous times right here, right? Here's my macro picture for 2021. As long as interest rates are low, which they are, things are good. Is the dollar printing press on? Still, technically, yes. The Fed is tapering in terms of their buybacks of mortgage-backed securities and bonds, right? And bond ETFs, corporate bond ETFs. They're still buying, just not at an aggressive rate. Are high beta and growth stocks outperforming value? Yes, they are. High beta growth and tech stocks are things like Salesforce and Amazon and Facebook, even, say something like Netflix, Teradyne, AMD. These are your high growth and tech stocks. Value are things like banks and industrial and commercial sectors like Caterpillar and General Electric. Okay, so yes, this is also true, which is, high beta growth and tech is outperforming value. Have there been Fed policy changes? No, there have not. We are not going to see significant tapering until 2022. I'm definitely not seeing interest rates hike until late 2022 or maybe 2023, right? So all these things, for the most part, give us a good idea of the checklist still being intact, and that our bullish thesis for the rest of 2021 is still on. Even if you start seeing, say, major corrections in the market, well, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, and it doesn't mean that it's the end of the cycle. It just means that it might be, a near-term correction that needs to calm down the market, maybe clear up some of this euphoria, clear up some of the excess money, excess leverage, and then as we head into 2022, then new bets get put on, new form of money comes in, rotation comes in, right? That's where we might start seeing another trend emerge in the beginning of next year. The other thread that I wrote, which is, in my opinion, one of my better threads regarding why I'm bullish for the next few years, is this thread on investing in stocks and crypto and why I'm so bullish, right? I talk about inflation fears. I talk about supply chain issues. I talk about all the reasons why I believe that the economy as a whole will probably do better. Tech and growth and crypto will do better in that environment over the next few years. So make sure you check out this thread. Okay, I've retweeted it on my feed. Other than that, we just got to check out the dollar, which I know is at 2021 highs, right? So here's basically, where's it? Here's January down here. Okay, this is the beginning of the year. All right, this is where we are now. We've made a long way up in terms of a climb. Okay, so this is a good sign in terms of the dollar ticking back up. This gives, a little bit of a leeway for correction for the stock market, correction for the crypto markets, but we want the dollar to start heading back down further, because overall that's good for investing in risk assets like stocks, like crypto, because a weaker dollar means that global trade with the United States is easier. Investing in the United States is easier, because a weaker dollar means that you're able to get more things from your respective currency or your respective company somewhere in the world for dollars. A stronger dollar means you have to put in more money and put in more work for less dollars. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So this is why overall people, even in America, they don't want a super strong dollar, right? Because a super strong dollar makes trade harder, it makes investing harder. just because, if the dollar is ticking up, it means that you're incentivized to probably hold the dollar, Okay. All right. Other than that, I mean, I think, this QCP thread was really, really good. I'm a big fan of QCP Capital and Darius, who is one of the head trading partners there. Very smart individual. Make sure you check out this thread. Very detailed information about what's happened in the market so far, what their positioning is in the market, and how they see the market unfolding over the next few weeks. Okay, that's all I got, folks. Avi Feldman talked about Maple Finance. I need to look into this. I don't know why this keeps popping up, but I'm going to check out Maple Finance. And then a new Uncommon Core episode from Suzu, which I also need to watch and pay attention to. Okay. So we have some homework. We have to keep an eye on the markets. Like I said, still in the bull biased phase. I'm not super concerned about things, being in a new bear market or anything, even if we have pullbacks for BTC towards 55, 53, 50K, it's not the end of the world. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care and good luck to you.